Hello, hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and this is Tony Sawyer, and Sandra's the early bird tonight, and Joe is the second runner-up. Here comes Laura. Hey, Lori, how are you? Apostle Norman, come and join me. I sent you an invite. Come and join me. Pastor's probably not going to be on with me tonight. We had a little rift before we started tonight. Our emotions have been on edge all day because of what we found out about Brother Kessler, who had an accident last night. So we've been kind of raw all day. So we kind of snapped at each other. He might pop in and he might not. I just want to be transparent. But anyway, I'm here and we're going to continue. And we thank you for being with us tonight. John, hello. Good afternoon, Sissy. Esther, you're on here. How scripture that I felt impressed to read to you um, in dealing with things that have happened, transpired in the last few days. And so we come to a place when crisis strikes of not knowing how to pray or what to pray. And I had to practice what I preach. I could not allow myself to fall into panic, but at the same time, I had to be honest enough to accept the way that things needed to be done in praying for Brother Kessler. For those of you who don't know, he's in the hospital and he's doing fairly well, but he's not completely well. So he had an accident last night. And God was graciously, God graced us by not allowing him to depart from us. So we just thank God for that. And we are in prayer with him as a local body here. Cornerstone is a local body. So we appreciate those of you who've been praying for him. I'm going to read this and then we'll jump into a lesson. We'll jump into something here. Let's see. How do I want to start? This is for those of you who have a Bible and Bible scholars or want to follow me. This is in 2 Corinthians chapter 2, and I just felt impressed to read it. And I'm not sure if I want to read it out of the King James or the Amplified. Let's see which one I want to do here. Maybe out of the Amplified. Okay, let's read this. It says, "As for myself, brethren, when I came to you, I did not come proclaiming to you the testimony and evidence or mystery and secret of God concerning what he has done through Christ for the salvation of men, in lofty words of eloquence or human philosophy and wisdom." And I feel like that's me tonight. It's me coming without a lot of eloquence. Thank you, Sister Catherine. She said he's doing well. He's doing well. I'm so glad to hear that. So that's me tonight coming to you, being very transparent and realizing that I don't have a lot of words. The one thing that I've discovered in my life of 73 years is that I know very little. And the longer I live, I realize the less I know. I used to try to be an expert regarding God and all of those things regarding spirit, but there is no expert. There is no way that any of us can be an expert about those things that the mind cannot conceive of. We have our own spiritual experiences. Those experiences teach us. Life experiences teach us more than anything. So when we talk about a sacred contract, we are talking about the lessons that have been set up for us to. They're talking about Pastor Norman, the lessons that have been set up. Can you? I'm hearing a back. Talking about Pastor Norman.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, I'm getting a background of looping. You're hearing a background.
Yeah, I got to cut you off from my
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you for tuning in. As I shared before,
Still
Pastor
can't
Knight,
hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? While he's setting that up, let me finish.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Great, great. I'm glad you tuned in to me.
Hey, well,
As, as,
let me cut
as I
some lights on real quick.
well, as I said earlier, the pastor and I, we found out that Brother Kessler had an accident yesterday, so our emotions have been kind of up and down, and so we had a little riff about 5 minutes before we went on. And so I realized that he's going to throw me under the bus, and I knew that. So I decided, well, let's just do this. And when I saw you pop in, I said, well, thank God, Brother Norman's here with me. He can fill in. But I was reading chapter 2 of First Corinthians about and I want to finish that while you're kind of getting yourself together. I know I kind of sprung this on you, but I wanted to read this, and I'm going to start over because I know we just kind of broke in on this. It says, as for myself, brother, when I came to you, I did not come proclaiming to you the testimony and evidence or mystery and secret of God concerning what he has done through Christ for the salvation of men in lofty words or eloquence or human philosophy and wisdom. And I said, that's me, especially tonight. That's me. I don't feel like an expert, and I'm not going to try to project myself as an expert. When we got the news about Brother Kessler's accident and the condition he was in, immediately the mind goes to, how do I pray? What do I pray? What do I pray? And I didn't want to fall back into my old theological religious ways of panicky prayer. I wanted to practice what we've been preaching, and that is we are one with God. That means that God is in that room, in that bed with Brother Kessler, was in that truck with Brother Kessler, and is now in that room with Brother Kessler and in all of us as well. So I had to start practicing, as we said on Sunday, the presence of God. So then my prayer became more a visualization of his body healing quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't bring panic into it. I had to still myself. I had to go within, and I had to still myself enough to be able to pray not so much pray a prayer, but say what I know is happening. And that is that his systems are being corrected and they're being healed. So that caused me to bring a different mindset into our usual mindset is, God, please intervene. But I know God has not intervened.
Mm-hmm.
So that, anyway, I wanted to say that. And then I want to finish this. It says, for I have resolved to know nothing, to be acquainted with nothing. I resolved to know nothing, to be acquainted with nothing, to make a display of the knowledge of nothing, and to be conscious of nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. That's a statement of surrender.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't require, he Paul was in a state of, I can't impress you, I can only express what I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's good. Um, and it's funny that you called me on. Actually, I was going to go on at 7:30 this evening because Gwen and I will be leaving out of town for the homegoing services of our brother-in-law.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I mess up your plans?
No, but this is great. This is great because actually, this particular passage of scripture, I actually was going to kind of expound on tonight as we've been sharing concerning leaders leading with their heart. And in this situation, of course, we are going to pray and we're going to believe, but we have to come to a place from which y'all have been teaching us of understanding who we are. Once we understand who we are, then there should be a demonstration that follows behind it, not
Yes.
any efforts whatsoever. And so of course, the human side of us when certain things happen, and we talked about this in doing impromptu concerning
Mhm.
our emotions, and when certain things happen, especially now in this particular season and time of sorrows, loved ones are transitioning. Of course, we're still yet faced with the Delta variant, and so the human side, the emotions get involved.
Gosh, yeah, they
And
do.
so when if we would still ourselves for a moment and do like what the prodigals the Bible talks about concerning the prodigal son when he came to himself.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh,
Mm.
that's what's happening. When certain things happen, when we are faced with crisis and loved ones are going through situations, we are emotionally tied. Our hearts are tied to them.
Yes, yes.
It's like we have to take a journey from that place once again of our emotions to the place of who we actually are, which is the true
Yeah.
self.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to be transparent, because in this passage of scripture kind of talks about it, and I'm going to finish reading it, but I wanted to be transparent and let you guys know that Pastor and I live a very normal life, just like everyone else. We have our times when we are not in agreement, just like everyone else. We have, and we're not the kind who would fake it in front of everybody else.
Mhm.
We don't believe in being a phony in front of other people. And so this is why, I think it's good to know that, okay, we had a riff, and then this is what happens after a riff. But it's also good for you guys to know that your dependency is not on a personality or
Exactly.
personalities. Your dependency is on, and in your trust is in God Himself. So it has nothing to do with. So you're actually getting a chance to see how I work through this,
Exactly.
and it's good because you'll find out how to work through it as well. I'm glad, Sandra, that your sister's doing good. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Thank you for letting us know. Now I'm going to read a little bit more of this. He says, "And I was passed into a state of weakness and fear, dread, and great trembling after I had come among you." And that's what I felt just before I went on. I felt that trembling and that dread. I'm thinking, oh gosh, what am I gonna do now? Because
Mhm.
Pastor's the kind of person, if you makes him mad, he's gonna throw you under the bus right then. But it doesn't last long. But that's just the way it is, and we kind of do that to one another. But this is good because it's good for me. It's good for me to know what I can do apart from him as well. So it said, I was passed into a state of weakness and fear and dread and great trembling after I had come among you, and my language and my message were not set forth in persuasive, enticing words of wisdom, but they were in demonstration of the Holy Spirit and power. And that demonstration is the demonstration of continuing to move forward, knowing who you are. That's the demonstration.
Exactly. Exactly. And for what how you're sharing this, and first of all, y'all being very transparent. You're being
Yeah.
very transparent. And in all actuality, this is what's needed for so many people. They need to know the other side of all of this, or we'll say ministry, because they do. We've heard it all before as we was coming up in the church and so forth concerning putting leaders on a pedestal as
Yes.
if they don't go through life situations like everybody else.
And we're guilty of making people think we've got it all together. And I don't want to give them that impression. I don't want to give you guys that impression. We don't have it all together. We have our times and we have to really deal with stuff as well. And we have the same reactions, the very
Mhm.
same reactions. So,
Exactly.
that's just the way it is.
And
And
I love
so,
what Laurie says, authenticity is beautiful.
yes,
A-
it is.
and we have to embrace that we have our ups and down moments as leaders, as well as anyone else. But see, there's that marketing again. uh
Yeah,
we have been exposed to. We're going to put out the best so you can see that, because we're trying to be a salesman. You see what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes.
We don't want people to know that we have our bad days and our up days. Yes, because I've had people get upset with me when I mentioned concerning marriage, because I'm real big on relationship. I'm real big on marriage. I think marriage is the greatest thing in the world. But I always tell my people, do you honestly think that my wife and I, we never have disagreements? Do you
Right.
honestly believe that?
Right.
Because if you believe that, I want to know what world are you from? And for
Exactly.
anyone to think that any pastor, leader, I don't care who they are, if they are married, they have their challenging
They
times
have the
as
challenge.
well. And so they
Yes.
only see us when we're on the stage, just like celebrities. We
Mhm.
love to applaud the celebrity. We have our favorite actors and actresses. And when it comes to the realm that I love, sports, we see all of that. We see the
Mhm.
glory, but we
Yeah.
never know what's going on behind the scenes.
That's the truth. And you know what I start to do in getting ready for that? I said, oh, now I know he's going to throw me under the bus because he's done it before, and it's funny, but he does this. But I said maybe I could post up here having technical difficulties.
No,
And I said no, I can't do
you're
that.
having emotional difficulties.
So I said no, I'm gonna go with it. I'm just gonna go with it. And one of the reasons I wanted to just go with it is to be transparent,
Hmm.
because like you said, as you said, there's too much of this covering up and making people feel as if there's this life that is complete utopia with no problems, and that is not true. In relationships, even loving relationships, there are ups and downs.
Yes.
I like what Judy says. She says all life as it shows up. Exactly. Inviting us to show up authentically. Thank you for the demonstration. And that's exactly what it is.
That's right. That's right.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh. John's laughing at me because I started to put up here, we're having technical difficulties. And
Wow.
Pearl's helping me. She said, co-pastor, only our ego feels thrown under the bus. Well, it didn't feel like it's been thrown under the bus, but I'm good. I'm good. I thank God for you guys, and I thank God for Pastor Norman. And I had made a decision. I said, if he doesn't come on, I'm just going to go on anyway. But thank you for that, Sister Pearl. So I'm going to read just a little bit more of this. It says in the fourth verse, it says, my language and my message were not set forth in persuasive, enticing, plausible words of wisdom, but they were in demonstration of the Holy Spirit and power, approved by the Spirit and power of God, operating on me and stirring in the minds of my hearers the
Mhm.
most holy emotions, and thus persuading them, so that your faith might not rest in the wisdom of men,
Mhm.
but in the power of God.
Of God. Yes. And this is one of my favorite passages, literally, because it again, showmanship, entertaining, performance. That
Yeah.
we and I'll say that we as leaders, and I'll even go in time past. That's what's been the thing, and I want people to understand that why why do we actually gather? Are we gathering to be entertained? Because I listen to a lot of speakers, and I've been guilty of it, of presenting. I mean, we come up with these great public, creative ways of sharing the word of the Lord, and
Public images. Yeah. Public
excite
images.
people. There you go, and they amen you, and they say
Mhm.
preach, preacher, and so forth and so on. But that is not what's actually getting us where we need to be in a place of awakening. What
Yes.
we actually need, what the people need, and that's why being transparent is so important now. People are going to be drawn by the actual demonstration. That
Yes.
that is
Yes.
what's going to draw the people. The people that let's talk about Jesus, for example. The people that come running to Jesus just because of all the things he was saying, they were drawn by the things that he was able to do. I
Sure.
mean,
Sure.
according to the written word, the first miracle that we know of or recorded was at the wedding, concerning once again they ran out of wine and he turned the water
Mm-hmm.
into
Mm-hmm.
wine and so
Mm-hmm.
forth.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in this hour. There has to be a demonstration of
Yeah.
who we really are. Not so much the demonstration of God, because that's what we want. We want God to demonstrate. We want God to move. But see, Paul even said in I believe it's second, it might be chapter 4, verse 20. He said that the kingdom of God does not come in word only, but
Mm-hmm.
in power or in demonstration.
Yes,
And
yes,
that's the thing that I feel has been lacking so
yes.
much, is the demonstration of our identity, the demonstration of the sons of God. I mean, the scripture even says creation itself is groaning and
Mm-hmm.
failing,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for the manifestation of the sons
Exactly.
of God. And so
Exactly.
we know the tree by the fruit it bears.
Yes, we do. And I pray that you guys will see authenticity as the power of God.
Hmm.
That your authenticity is the power of God. It's when you're being true to yourself that God really shines through. And I'm going to read just a little more. He says, so that your faith may not rest in the wisdom of men or human philosophy, but in the power of God. Yet when we are among the full grown, spiritually mature, who are ripe in understanding, we impart a higher wisdom. Oh, I love that. The
Hmm.
knowledge of the divine plan that was previously hidden, but it is indeed not a wisdom of this present age or of this world, nor of the leaders and rulers of this age who are being brought to nothing, but rather we are setting forth a wisdom of God once hidden from the human understanding and now revealed to us by God, that wisdom which God devised and decreed before the ages for our glorification, to lift us into the glory of his presence. Oh, that's beautiful. That
Yes.
is beautiful. Beautifully said. The oneness message is what gets you through it. And it, because when you allow yourself to be transparent, it's a very fearful thing because you have to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
And we mostly are afraid of that vulnerability, but the vulnerability, I found, when I open up and say exactly what it is that I'm feeling at that moment, it helps other people because they're feeling stuff too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And see, that's the trick of the mind there. Often when we go through certain things, we always kind of have that sense or that feeling of I'm the only one going through that. There's
Yeah.
so many others that are going through
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
exact same thing, but we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And see, that's why even in the midst of this crisis and this pandemic, the number one topic that has been so highlighted, not only just through the media, but I mean even in the church as well, has been once again mental health.
Yeah.
And I was listening on the radio earlier today that there is I forgot where, but it was on CNN, and they were sharing they're in this thing where they're celebrating what they call great heroes or leaders that's doing extraordinary things in their communities. And there's a young man that created, I think it's something that deals with hope, but he created a platform where he is focusing on the young children, the kids, while
Hmm.
they're in school concerning their mental health, and he's providing it to them
Wow.
free of
Wow.
charge. And so he walked. There was I only could hear it on the radio, but he walked into the class and he began to share with them. He said, "Now I want y'all to feel free. I don't want you to be ashamed. If you feel like you are having a bad day, we want you to know that you could come and talk to any one of us."
Yeah.
See,
Yeah. Yeah.
children needs to hear that. We knew that when we was growing up, when especially when we hit teenage years, all
Hmm.
kinds of things are going on with us that we don't even understand. But we've been placed in a mindset of being afraid to talk to mom and dad because they don't know, what we are going to expect from them, what they're going to say, if they're going to be upset or whatever. But I can say this even with my mom. She raised two boys by herself as a single parent. When I was able to talk to my mom about certain things as a male, that I was shocked. I was afraid to talk to her, but
Mm-hmm.
she opened up and she said, Norman, I want you to be able to come talk to me about any and everything. That blew
Yeah.
my mind. It literally
Yeah.
did, because I was afraid to talk to my mom about certain things that I was going through as a male.
Okay.
And so that was very liberating to me. I mean, I was in the 8th grade at the time and going into teenage years. And of course, when you don't have a male role model in your life at that time, okay, who do you talk to?
Right.
And
Right.
so we know a lot of our young people, the number one death, especially for teenagers, has been suicide. It's
Yes.
because they have no one that's being transparent. They have no one that they could go talk to about what they're feeling.
Yeah, that's true. I saw a celebrity as well, Gabrielle. I can't remember her last name. Gabrielle. I can't
Union,
remember her last name.
Gabriella Union.
Yes, yes, yes. Has written a book, uh, and it's called "Do You Have Anything Stronger?" And she's talking about how that she tried for years to get pregnant, could not get pregnant, and in the industry in Hollywood, they've got all of these different things they say about her, like she's trying to preserve her body, she doesn't want to have babies because she's doing all, so they've got all of these things, and she shared how that she could not get pregnant, and so she had to go through a surrogate. She and her husband had to go through a surrogate,
Mhm.
and in the process of that, she had suicidal tendencies after the child. She had all kinds of stuff going on, but she was very, very transparent in this book, and it brought out the understanding that when women reach a certain age limit or age period, a period of their time or their age, they actually have suicidal tendencies because of the fluctuations of their hormones. And so it being transparent is good because it helps other people. And like you said, we think that that's only us going through that, and it's never only us going through that.
Exactly. And I thought about something that we're guilty of in church circles. When certain things like that happen, we always want to put it on the devil. It's not the devil.
Right.
It's your emotions, and so we try to spiritualize so many different things. I mean, for example, I was just in a conversation with someone today, again. They were just discussing, I was sharing with them, concerning our brother-in-law and my wife and I leaving on tomorrow morning,
Mhm,
going in there for
mhm,
his homegoing service. And so she
mhm.
was sharing with me concerning some friends of hers that had passed away and so forth. And so she was on social media, and a friend of hers that they go to the same church put on social media concerning, if they go get the virus, that means they don't trust God. And so it
Goodness,
upset
oh
her. She
goodness.
said it upset her so much that she had to comment, and she used a scenario concerning the guy out there in a flood, and the water came, and he asking the Lord to send help. And he sent the boat, and he said, "No, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God." Then he sent a ship, and he said, "Oh no, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God." Then he sent the helicopter. "Oh no, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God." And lo and behold, he drowns. And then
Yeah,
he goes to
yeah,
heaven. We know the story. He goes to heaven. He said, "Lord, why didn't you save me?" He said, "Well, I sent the boat. I
yeah,
sent the ship. I said," and so we try to spiritualize every situation where we
yes, we
forget
do. We do.
that there are practical means by
Yes,
which we can have victory. And
yes.
so it really caught me. And I
That's
said,
that's
"Well,
funny because that's funny you shared it because I thought about when I heard the news about Brother Kessler. I the first question we always ask is, okay, why did this happen? And then my next response, going back to what Oliver said, he says, "How does our resistance to spiritual identity bring about anxiety, which results in vulnerability?"
that's
I
good."
had to resort back to myself as that being that I know that I am. And then I realized, like you said, there was room for praise because he wasn't taken out.
Hmm.
There was room for praise because he didn't die. There was room for praise because he will get better and come out of there. So it's we often look at how bad things are without seeing how blessed we are. And
Exactly.
so that I had to fall back into my spiritual identity, Oliver, and you know what I'm talking about. I had to press my I had to drag my mind back into the truth
Exactly.
of myself, and into the truth of who he is, Brother Kessler, and his wife Esther, who's listening tonight. So thank you for that, Oliver. I appreciate it. And thank you for coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for
Hey
coming
there,
in.
Dad.
How you everybody out
Can
there?
you turn in just a little bit so they can
Turn
all
in. I
see you?
can't get to it.
Yeah, just face toward the camera. I'm going to read just a little more of this scripture. It says, so let no one exult proudly concerning men, boasting of having this or that man as a leader. For all things are yours, whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas, or the universe or life or death, or the immediate and threatening present, or the subsequent and uncertain future, all are yours. And you are Christ's, and Christ is God's. So that life is beautiful when you think about it. And being transparent really helps you. You feel better when you're transparent because you're not trying to hide stuff and put on a phony face. So I'm just not about that. I can't be about that. And so it's a blessing to have a chance to be transparent.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's lift the weight. It takes too much work
Mhm. They're
to
welcoming you in,
Yeah, I
Pastor.
see. I'm
Yeah,
just
they're
doing.
welcoming you in.
it takes too much work to walk in an image uh,
Yeah,
that we are trying to portray to everyone else, and that goes back to some we shared before, where I said this has been such a time of liberation for me, where I realized that I was in prison once again, trying to fulfill the expectations, the perceptions, and opinions of what other people thought
hmm,
I should be as a leader, or what should I be doing.
yes,
and,
yes,
and so my emotions were so involved, and that's where I was getting a lot of stress, a lot of headaches, and so forth, because I was not being me. I
yeah,
needed to be me.
yeah,
And I found the real me. I'm very adventurous. I love to have fun. I love to enjoy life, and I wasn't enjoying life. I was trying to once again fulfill expectations.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm glad you guys are hanging in there with us. Again, we want to be as authentic in front of you as possible. And one of the reasons I want to do that is because I've seen so many of those who have followed us that I love dearly struggle with the belief that they don't have what we have because they feel different,
Hmm.
and they feel like, and they believe that they have to that they're supposed to have this perfect life with no reactions, with no ups and downs, which is, and that we're supposed to sail through this without feeling what's happening, and that's impossible. That's not the human experience. The human experience is, I feel every bit of it, but how I navigate through it is very, very important.
Exactly. I mean, I see life as itself. I mean, especially in this particular time, and like I said, because I've learned so much, and I don't want to keep repeating concerning the pan, but I've learned so much in this pandemic. I feel like life is a big old giant test. That's all it is. I mean,
Amen to that. Amen to that.
you have to, when, because you could tell when you didn't pass a test. You could literally tell. When, okay, and it may come around, so I know what to do now. I learned something from that. I learned from this situation. I learned how I reacted wrong, so if it comes up again, I will not react that way, whatever. And
Yeah.
so I just see it as a series of tests, so it is impossible. I mean, think about it. We all had to go to school, right? So
Yeah.
we didn't want to go to school, and we didn't actually wanted to learn when we needed to learn, that would help us. We needed
Mhm.
information to thrive, survive, and thrive in life. But in the other dimension, of course, when it comes to life itself, It's a big old classroom. That's all
Yeah,
it is. And,
yeah, yeah.
and I learned how to look at it from that way. So now I can laugh at myself when I know, okay, I dropped the ball on that
Yeah, well,
before.
I thought, well, I could have just went on put it. We're having technical difficulties, but I would have felt terrible afterwards. So I said, no, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
So just I'm thankful that you're here with me as well. Do you have anything you want to share, Pastor?
No, I'm just listening. Just listening right now. I'm waiting.
Pearl says, transparency keeps me personally in peace, and I love peace within. That is it, Pearl. I don't like feeling bad.
Nope.
I can't hold those. I can't hold bad feelings. So I had to just let it go. I had to let it go. And Vern says, "Amen." Life is a test.
It's a test. Yes,
And
it is.
I'm ready for this test to be finished, but I know that until the lessons are gotten, I have to continue with this test.
Exactly.
Judy says, when our thoughts and words and deeds don't line up, it feels icky. That's inauthenticity. Yes, ma'am. And a
Yes.
lot of times we live double lives. We're one person in front of other people, and we're another person behind closed doors. And I don't want to be that, and I'm not going to be that because it's not truth. I have to live my truth. We have to all live our truth. Oliver says, I heard it spoken this past weekend that life is our teacher. It is.
Yes.
And in our sacred contract, Oliver, it's designed just to bring us to a place of learning specific things. And that's the thing. We're here, our script is set up for us to learn specific things, not just to learn, but to learn specific things. I remember Wayne Dyer wrote a book years ago, and I can't remember the name of it, but he gave a scenario how that when he was born, he was his father was a drunk and abandoned him and his mother died early. He had an experience, a spiritual experience, where he saw himself collaborating his sacred contract with God. And in that experience, God said to him, what do you want to learn when you go to earth this time? And he said, I want to learn how to be resourceful.
Wow.
And when he said that, God sent him into this world, into this earth plane again, and allowed him to go through a drunken father who abandoned him, a mother who died early, so that he could have built into him resourcefulness. So life script, the life sacred contract has been set up for specific lessons. And so I just know that being authentic is the key to you accepting the lessons that are right there in front of you.
Exactly. And it brings up again, all things work together for all things. Everything is going to work out for your benefit. Everything that you go through in life, how you perceive it and how you embrace it. And so I've discovered that a lot of times when I don't embrace a situation that's trying to teach me and to mature me and perfect me in such a way, I'll end up going through it again.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. We keep saying, why do I keep ending up with this, at the same place in my life over and over again? Why I'm constantly going through the same thing over and over? It's because you didn't learn your life lesson. Whatever the universe, God, however you want to put it, was trying to teach you, you did not get it.
Exactly. So we've said a lot. And I hope you've gotten something out of this. Pastor, you okay?
Yeah, I'm just listening and waiting.
You want to say anything?
No, I just know that even though we use that term teacher, life as a teacher, you'll come to the place where you will not say anything to the not the course, but you might say the course. You won't say anything to what is going on because there are times when words are taken from you. The energy to mess with it is not available. And when that happens, it gives you a chance to get through the lesson quicker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
If
agree.
you have a lot of opinion, if first of all, opinions don't come from our true self. Opinions come from that thing that think your
That
stuff
thing.
think your stuff don't have a smell, you know. And I'm finding out that if there is no war, there's no fight, don't start a war. But you learn as you go, or you see as you go. Some things don't come by learning, come by seeing. The minute you see it, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some things that are not to be worked out. It is to be looked out or looked through and allow that to be what it is. You're not going to change anything. You're not going to change anything. But there is a part of you that this is the big one. There is a part of you that has already changed.
Mm-hmm.
Or let's say it another way. There's a part of us that don't need to be changed because it's there-ness.
And I wanted to share this too, that when emotions are raw, especially in relationships, you're gonna say and do things to one another because your emotions are raw.
Mm-hmm.
And to not take those times and make them a set point, like there's really something going bad. There's nothing really going bad. It's just your emotions are raw.
That kind of made me think about something I've been guilty of the majority of my life. My mom had to help me understand that concerning my emotions. Because Bishop, when you said about sometimes nothing needs to be said, and many of us we're guilty of that. When certain things happen, we feel like we have to say something. And so that kind of reminded me of I've been guilty of always wanting to defend myself. Anytime somebody would say something to me that would rub me the wrong way, I had to say something, I had to do something. I reacted in such a way until one day my mom at the time she said, "Norman, you don't need to say it. Why you don't always have to defend yourself." And it was later on I really understood that concept when I started studying the martial arts. Sometimes your number one weapon is to do nothing at all, do not react. And I learned that, and so it kind of made sense that sometimes I don't know what it is why we feel like we got to defend ourselves, we got to protect ourselves, when all we have to do, the greatest weapon is sometimes just silence, don't say nothing at all.
And it's because when we're locked into our egocentric mind, we feel very, very limited and small, and we lash out. We lash out in a protective response of self-defense, and that happens because we're feeling very, very threatened. And you only feel threatened when you're in your egocentric mind. That's the only time you really feel like that. Somebody can say something and all of a sudden you lash out because you think they're saying you're stupid, but they're not saying you're stupid. But if you're in your egocentric mind, that's what you'll believe. And so it causes, and a lot of times people don't understand what you're dealing with at that moment, so they don't know why you lashed out. And so allow grace for one another, especially in relationships. Allow grace and allow that person to have a moment without branding them as bad.
Exactly.
It's all very important. All very important. I want to say what Oliver says here: trials are but lessons that you fail to learn presently. Present it once again. So where are you made a faulty choice before you? I'm not sure what you're saying. Retype that, Ollie. I'm reading it wrong or I'm seeing it wrong. Retype it for me. You were about to say something?
I was going to the drugstore today and I went a different direction. I was directed to go another direction because the traffic was going into a Biscuitville place. And when I backed out, I turned to go opposite than what you normally would. So it was set up for me to go the back way. And when I did, there was a a truck that had stopped facing me. And when I looked down in front, I stopped with him, but there was a bunch of geese or ducks, whatever you call them.
Yeah, yeah. The
It
ones
was-
that go across the road and
Bro,
won't.
you got to hold up everything.
And I have seen I've seen where some people run over them.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
terrible.
that's bad.
I heard
That's
somebody
bad.
says against the law, do, but where's
It
the
is.
law? Yeah.
It is.
That's like you said, you go to bed at night and you turn your mattress over when you're little, and you see that tag on the side of them,
And don't
your
pull it
mom
off.
or your dad or somebody tells you if you tear that tag off, you go to jail. I start looking for the police around and see if they're gonna come in the door, and tow the thing off. But they were crossing the road, and I call my inner self me or us said, you notice that if one of them get run over, the leader would turn and look. It may go back, it may not. But he said, they do not stop being, they do not disrupt beingness for even another goose, a duck.
And you said you blew your horn, your
And
train horn.
I blew the train horn. I think, man, I'm gonna blow the train horn and make their feathers to fly. They did not pay that thing no attention.
I was going to ask you because I know they do not react to anything like
They're
that.
fearless.
They slow time until they get over there. Wow.
They're put on this earth as our example.
I think they're real goosey.
Because that I thought about the writers of David in Psalms where he has a list of when he talks about the ant and all the spiders, so forth, lessons to be learned from the animal kingdom. But just like the geese, they know they had made up in their mind where they was going to go, where they was going to arrive, and no matter how loud the noise was that was coming against them, they did not react. They didn't rush their process. They didn't rush their and they have the ability to fly and to do whatever, but they did not rush their process because they stayed in their place of, again, beingness.
Yeah, and they're the epitome of none of these things move me.
Exactly.
They're the epitome of that.
Now I've been wanting to talk to them. I've been really.
They make a statement, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But I want to talk with one of them. I have seen them come across the parking lot, and I walk toward them. They look like they might run, or they might turn around and retaliate.
Yeah.
But somebody said, "You better leave them alone. They'll attack you." So I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna have a conversation with one of them things. One way to either through insight.
How they stay in there.
I want to find out what their secret is.
Yeah,
because
how they remain.
They've been getting by too much out on the road, and they make things happen out there, and they just sit down and they duck do and just go across the road like it ain't nothing to it.
It's awesome though that the answers to
no fear.
The answers to the tests are all around us. That's so awesome. Okay, Oliver printed it again. He said, trials are but lessons you failed to learn presented once again. So where you made a faulty choice before, you now can make a better one and thus escape all pain that what you chose before has brought to you. That's good, Ollie. Thank you so much.
That is.
Yeah, man, I tell you, well, this is a good time. We had a good talk tonight. This has been really good, and we're looking forward to doing it again. Also, I need to say that Pastor Norman and I will not be on Thursday. He's got some personal things he's got to take care of to go to a homegoing, and you guys be careful going where you're going. What part of the country are you going to?
We are going down to Adairsville, Georgia.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, never heard of it. It's around Cartersville, Rome, Georgia. If you're familiar with those areas,
I'm not familiar with that one either.
Marietta. Y'all familiar with Marietta? We got going on the other side of Marietta.
Okay, okay. Well, very good.
But
you guys
I
leaving
hope
out tomorrow or today?
Yes. We're leaving out tomorrow morning, but I hope everyone that was planning on connecting with me at 7:30 today, that they connected with this. It's funny because I said, well, before I come on, I'm gonna sit here and watch Mom and Dad, because I was going to do a Tuesday edition because of tomorrow. I may just say something tomorrow, but I hope some of them was able to join in and connect with us today, because it's something they needed to hear.
Well, I pray that I didn't interrupt your plans too much and
No,
cause you any
no.
problems. But I appreciate you joining me tonight.
I don't know what's going. I don't know the outcome of Mr. Kessler, but I was thinking about you today. Uh, I don't know. We may have to have your assistance in summer.
We'll
I'm not
about
sure,
that.
but we'll talk
Esther's
about
on
it.
here. Esther
To help me pray with him
Mhm.
and help him get through this thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Esther said he's doing better. She's
Yeah.
on here tonight.
Okay. Good. Good.
And Sandra said her sister's doing better as well.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
Because I was thinking about you, and the more you have sometimes with you in this thing, the better comfort it is to.
It is.
Because I asked the question today, what do you do when you in situations like this with them? They are in a situation and they need our assistance or help somewhere in this. And I know she's hearing us, but I want you to know we want you to hear us because we are just as concerned about it as you are.
Yes, we are. We are.
It's funny that you said that, Bishop, and I know we out of time, but see, I know this was a divine appointment because this was not planned, because I had the same thought today. Because so much is going on. We're getting so many calls, and I had the thought today. I said, what do you do? I mean, I'm saying, Father, what do we do when all of this is going on? How do we help them? How do we lead? And then the other thought came to me was the thought that we all have had, why it seemed like bad things are happening to such good people and so forth. And I had all, and then to hear when you said what you said when you came on, it was the same thought pattern that I had today.
So I have made a commitment to myself to be very human, to be very transparent. I'm not going to try to put on a phony face for anybody. I'm not going to try to make it seem like we've got it all together. I want you guys to know that we're just like you, and we're walking this journey the same as you, and we're having to practice what we preach just like you do. And so it's very good. The transparency is a very good thing. So yeah.
The center of gravity in the earth draws everything to the core. The core of every spirit being in true essence at the source, in core essence, is drawing the attention. So that will come sometime that takes physical timing in this illusionary world to get that lined up. But everybody that's listening to this, you are absolutely locked in to source.
Yes.
Regardless of where you feel, how things go, if it gets your attention, there's a clause in the policy on the fine print that you need to go back and read it inside your inner self. Look at it with the eyes of your spirit awareness, and check that small print in there, because it'll tell you everything is okay.
It sure will. It sure will. It sure
And that
will.
means you don't have to respond. Some people feel like they are guilty or not guilty or condemning themselves if they don't say something to somebody about getting saved.
Yeah, well, we're all past that.
And some don't get past that. Yeah. And to me, to be stuck there is a dark light. It tells me that they are willing to not wake up to that center muscle that needs to relax.
Yes, and Oliver just shared, he said our spirituality has no value if we can't integrate it into the activities of our lives.
That's good.
Yes, and you're right. And even the spiritual language, just talking this spirituality message isn't beneficial if it isn't authentically being walked out.
Exactly.
It's just words if it's not being authentically walked out. And so we can't preach what we aren't living.
Exactly. And it's funny because in leading, especially that's what many perceive us as to be, we oftentimes have to go first. We have to go before in order to go with. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. We are experiencing account of things, just like you're saying what y'all went through. Okay, now that's a life lesson. Okay, now as leaders, we've done experienced that. Now we come back, and now we can walk with, or we can assist or guide,
Yes.
escort, someone through
Yes.
what they're dealing with. So
Exactly. Exactly. That's good.
Integration will not come forward and reveal itself to you if the mind is still dominating the terminology of integration. Okay. If your mind is still dominating integration, such as I need to get God in this, the mind the ego mind is interfering. There is no need for integration, even in separation,
because there is not a time when God's not in it.
Now that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Now you have to, each one of us have to see that individually, but this thing, I mean, and you can just take your papers. They mashed that button on America Got Talent. What is
The
it?
buzzer.
The
Golden
buzzer. Hit the buzzer. Go ahead and hit the buzzer and let the paper fly. Because you have always been the integrated self in the Christ self before the foundations of the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There is no struggle in integration. I'm sorry if you got to mix your tea again with water. You go ahead on, but you're gonna find out that God is in charge of the tea.
Exactly.
And the tea ain't gonna never be not mixed just right.
Yes.
In every situation.
That's right.
One of the most profound statements that Jesus made was, as he was going to the grave of Lazarus, he said, "Father, you know what I stand in need of before I pray."
You said
the only reason why I'm praying is because of these people around me, because this is what they do.
Yes.
I don't need to pray.
Yes, and that's where I came to with Brother Kessler. I said, "There's no need in me saying to you, Lord, anything, because already you were in that car with him when it happened, and you're there with him now. So I don't have to inform God. I don't need to inform God of anything. I just need to trust."
Exactly.
You cannot blow hell out of people.
Like Kenneth, I should have said that. Like one of the evangelicals.
You cannot blow hell out of something when hell. See, there's a part of you that.
Hey. I know. I almost said it. I shouldn't have said it.
You can't blow hell out of what hell can't get in.
He tried to blow it away, but he couldn't blow it away.
So I mean, it's like what the hell do you think your attitude or somebody else's mood? What the hell do you think can move God, your already integrated self, out of any situation? Sit back and ride this thing, because you're not going to get on God's last nerve.
Right.
Which is you.
Having said all of that, we're going to sign off. Pastor Norman, I love you.
Love y'all.
Lady Gwen, thank you so much for tuning in with us, Pastor Norman, and helping us out a little bit tonight. It was good to see you, by the way. And thank you guys for tuning in to us and listening and sharing with us. Your comments were so beneficial, and we appreciate you and we love you. And we'll see you again on Sunday at 10 o'clock, and Pastor Norman back at 11. And we'll see you later. Bye.
Love y'all.
Bye-bye.
You too.